there's a massive burgeoning issue. Marketing, so-called marketing and advertising agencies. It's a growth field, as you know. It seems like there are agencies everywhere. Now, a couple of years ago, when I first started to see that term bounce around everywhere, I was curious, because to me an agency back in the day was a legitimate advertising agency that handled, the big projects, big clients, etc., creative commercials and what have you. But now it's very different. They basically seem to be somewhat creative, that handle video production and the media spend, so to get your product out on whatever platform is suitable to your product. What I'm seeing though is that certain clients, certain people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month with these agencies, and they're not getting enough bang for their buck. They might be getting the reach on, let's say, Meta, because if you pay a certain amount of money, you'll get the demographic and the geographic reach. If you're a plumber in wherever suburb in Australia and you pay enough money to reach the demographic that you want to reach, you'll reach it. But what I'm seeing is that there's too much of a focus on just pretty pictures. I've been in this business for over 35 years, so I've seen the evolution of cameras, and nowadays cameras look so good. So it's very easy for a so-called creative director or an agency producer or whatever they call themselves to do a video for, XYZ company and just hand them a bunch of pretty pictures edited to some music. That's garbage. That is not worth the paper that it's printed on, in my opinion. I've been guilty of that myself. I've done a few of them myself, but if the job calls for it, not too often. Recently I did something similar, but there's a long story behind that. I would just urge you to just use caution when paying your $10,000 or your $15,000 or whatever it is a month to these agencies to do this work for you. Be judicious. It's a big part of the budget. It's a critical part of the budget. That's another point I want to talk about. But it's a big part of your budget, or your income, your company budget that you're spending or allocating to these companies. And marketing and PR and social media advertising is critical. You have to have a presence. But just challenge them. Challenge the agency, okay, to work harder for you. Don't just be happy with a series of beautiful images of your coffee shop or your pizza restaurant or pub, whatever it is. You need to have a story. There needs to be a good story attached to it, not just a series of pretty pictures. So if this agency is charging you a fairer whack of coin for their services, just dig a little deeper. Also, give me a holler if you need to ask some questions. The other point that I'm seeing is that, what was the other point? 1 second, let me think. Right, okay, I have to come back to it. That was one point. It's the paying attention to where that monthly spend is going. The other point is that there are many founders and owners of multi-million-dollar companies, small, medium, large, whatever the size, who don't understand how relevant this social media marketing, especially video. I know people have been talking about it for some time, but still, there are certain folks out there who have their head well and truly in the sand. Get it out of the sand. You have to be promoting, publicizing yourself. Look at Gary Vaynerchuk, great example. He doesn't need the money, he doesn't need extra money, he doesn't need extra business. He's got plenty of it, money and business. But he is constantly online, on social, okay? He's a great influence and he's a great inspiration. But on top of that, he's constantly promoting his various products and services, etc., on top of providing a service for us, the consumer. Tony Robbins, constantly. I don't know what his monthly budget would be on marketing, media spend, etc. It must be huge, huge. Now, another great example is this wonderful individual called Steve Varsano. Check him out. He's across the internet. He is the private jet expert. Now, Steve deals with multi-billionaires, people who are buying private jets through Steve. They're very wealthy, high net worth individuals. Maybe Steve doesn't need to be over social media because his clients are a certain level, but he's smart. He is now, maybe he's always been for many years, but in the last couple of years, him and his media content, social media team have done such a great job to position him as the go-to expert on all things private jets, right? Smart dude, check out his work. So if you're a founder, if you're an executive and you're still teetering and unsure about whether you need to be in this space, check out these individuals. Watch them closely. You need to be in this space. Okay, that's it. Have a good weekend.